Hello everybody. So we're back today to show you the tour of the outside of the property. We're going to go around the house, show you what it looks like, where we're at with some projects, and go over what we have as far as future plans.
We've been debating back and forth on what color to change the house, and we went through, this would be the 5th color we finally chose, and our house looked crazy for a while. We had 2 blues and 2 grays, and we finally decided on a color that we wanted. And this is what we decided. We really like it. We both kind of decided that this is what we wanted, and so we're in the process of doing it. As you can tell, we got to buy more paint.
Yeah, we did what we could with a gallon to make sure we liked everything. Probably should have bought a sprayer, but we didn't. So this is the front of the house. Of course, we will do the skirt wall as well with painting. So as far as the front yard, you'll notice a couple things. We have cars all over the place, so the front yard does look like somewhat of a car lot according to Xander. We don't mind it that way. We would probably actually have more cars out here if we could afford them, but it is what it is. And we do have the Tahoe hooked up to the camper for right now because the plan is to go to a campground about an hour from here this weekend. One of the first projects you can see is the chain link fence. We are doing black chain link around 3 of the 4 sides. You can see in the background that there is wood privacy fence between our house and the other neighbor's house. So I think I did 80 feet of privacy fence last year down that line and then started the black chain link. Then going around back, once again you can see I've got more fencing started. So we will wrap the fence around to the back. And then as far as paint scheme, you can see we've started up the side. And then as we go around back, we have the rear porch. So here's the rear entrance of the house. You can see this is where we do our grilling and all that stuff outside. We at least have a little covered sitting area and some storage out there. And then the back screened in porch. We have the hot tub and the first of 2 barns. Moving forward, you can see the backyard is basically just multiple hills. They don't look as bad in the photos when you walk it, and especially on the way up. They are definitely steeper than they look. You can see we have our other barn, the lake down at the bottom, boat sitting down at the dock, which we will go down there later. And you can see as far as coming up here, that's where the privacy fence ended that was out front on that side, and then we went to chain link, and then we will take chain link all the way down to the bottom. We will cut across the bottom and then back up on the other side. So we're on the far side of the house right now, and you can kind of see in this shot how the front yard slopes up. So one of the issues we had when we moved in was they didn't have it graded properly. So the water, especially in heavy rains, would just go right up against the house, and it was washing out the foundation somewhat. So I've moved a lot of stone and dirt around, and I've made some low points, so most of the water now grades over to the side to the drainage ditch and goes away from the house. So it's made a lot better. We're not getting water under the house anymore, but some damage was done. So you can see as you come down this side, the skirt wall isn't bad until you get to the back. As we get to the back, you can see it's actually shifted. So as all that rain washed down here, it just washed out the bottom of that foundation, and this is all dropped. So one of the things we have to do is get this back corner knocked out and then re-blocked and then re-stuccoed. It'll probably be next spring before we do that, but that'll be the big project. Another thing that caused this, when we moved in, there was a deck right here that matched the other side. The people that were here before us had added the deck, and what they did wrong was to take a ledger board and just hooked it to the skirt wall and then put the entire deck weight on it and only had posts at the front. So you had water running down the side of the house and then all the way to the deck pushing down on this and leaning it out. So that led to these cracks you see and more of the damage. So I've ripped that out, we've got the quote, it'll be spring before we get to that. In the meantime, the other mistake they made was when they ran the decking boards, they ran them the width of the house, not away from the house. And then they also butted the back board right against the house. So there was nowhere for the water to seep away. So it just set and rotted these boards out in places. So I'm also gonna have to cut some of this out, make sure there's no more damage behind it. And I'm probably gonna put a 2x10 in here and then cap that with aluminum, paint that white, and then repaint the rest, and then also patch any siding that's been damaged in the process. So coming down, you can see we get back over to the screened-in porch. So one of the things I'm working on as we've done the blue and white trim is I'm also going to trim the porch out in white. So these bottom boards, the vertical boards here, and then the top boards at the top will also be white. If you come across the front, you can see I kind of started this other corner with it. So then I will just continue that and also do the vertical boards. That way the entire house has the white trim all the way around with the dark blue paint. And that brings us back to where we started. So now we'll head down the hill. We're going to go ahead and head down the hill to the dock here in a second. Before we do that, we will show this side of the house. It's where we have our propane tank and goes back up to our front carport. We did have our dock and seawall rebuilt this winter, which part of that was they were supposed to get everything in the yard back to the way it started. As you can see from the ruts going down the hill from the skid steer, that did not happen. We did give the crew a little bit of credit. It took way longer than it should have. We know they lost money with the lumber prices, so we didn't complain as much. We were sympathetic to that. And this brings us down to the dock and the boat. Unfortunately, we've been getting rain pretty much every day lately, so the boat is somewhat of a mess right now. The dock is 30 by 10, so it's a decent sized platform for us. You can see our view down into the cove. Down at the end as it curves to the right is where it opens up to the main lake. So, boat down here. I do have a trolling motor on it and a battery for that, so I've got the solar panel down here to keep that charged, so I don't have to keep carrying a battery up and down, and I don't have to run electricity down here. The problem we've been fighting this year that's just popped up, if you see in the lake, it looks like an aquarium. Since we've been here, this is our third summer, we have never had an issue getting in and out. The water depth is always fine. This year, all of a sudden, this stuff happened. It turns out it is an aquarium plant that was imported from Asia that somehow got loose in the lake. And it's an invasive species that has just taken over. So us and every other house in the cove is basically having to go in and have a professional come in and treat the entire cove to try to eradicate it. In the meantime, it makes getting in and out somewhat of a pain. Scrolling back across the cove, you can see the place across right on the water. If you pay attention, there's a retaining wall. That retaining wall mimics the side of a pirate ship. And you can see a mast in the center there on the lookout. Just to give a little bit of a different view, this is the angle from our neighbor's dock, so you can see the seawall and all the stone that was just put in and how the dock was built, and then the view down the cove from a little bit of a different angle. So here's the view of the house from the boat. You can see the dock here and Shanna's favorite sitting spot. We had to put a little bit of a step to get down into the boat. The lake fluctuates about 1.5 feet max. It's hydroelectric, so it does go up and down. So when it's at the highest level, the boat's easy to get onto. When it's low, the step helps out a lot. So we'll head on back up to the house. Well, thanks for watching through this. We appreciate it. Hope you like the house and the projects. For those of you that know way more than me about home repair, if you have any tips for me, especially concerning our skirt wall and siding, I'm more than open to any kind of recommendations. As far as the next video, it'll probably be a week or two. We are going camping this weekend at a state park nearby, so we'll have some footage from that. And then here in a week or two, we're going to try to do a tour of the inside of the house. Look forward to seeing you then. Bye.